Hello, I'm Alvina from IB Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us today. We are pleased to host the second Ask the Expert series, where we invite the best-in-class experts to share in-depth information on various digital topics with us. The topic for today is Ask Me Anything About Brand Safety. Digital brand safety is a huge topic for brands. It ranges from ads being shown in contextually safe areas online, the ad being viewed by a human eyeball versus an online bot, and the brand complying to the related rules and regulations of the location, and many more. Before the webinar, speakers will receive questions from the audience and they will then prepare the replies based on the experience to share the insights with us. We're delighted to invite 4 speakers with us this session. They are Mr. Nick Stranger from Tech Today, Trustworthy Accountability Group, Mr. Jeremy Chang from DoubleVerify, Ms. Olivia Yu from Matter, and Ms. Chang Ling from Tiang Partners. Together, they will give us a good picture on the different aspects of brand safety, as well as some tips and best practice. Before they share their point of view with us, we would like to invite you to like and follow our Facebook and LinkedIn pages so that you will receive timely update about IAB Hong Kong.
Hello, my name is Nick Stringer, the Vice President of Global Engagement and Operations at the Trustworthy Accountability Group, TAG. TAG is an international not-for-profit, self-regulatory standards organisation established to tackle criminal activity and to promote brand safety in digital advertising. TAG has international standards to tackle issues such as ad fraud, malware, and ad misplacement, including ad-supported piracy, and leading brands, agencies, intermediaries, or ad tech businesses and publishers, with the support of vendors helping companies to meet these standards, are participating right around the world, implementing these standards to deliver a cleaner and safer digital advertising supply chain. In November 2021, TAG partnered with IB Hong Kong to tackle criminal activity and promote brand safety, specifically in the Hong Kong digital advertising market. And more information on this can be found on the IB's website. And this partnership begins with an education phase, and this webinar is part of that, and culminates in the formal launch of these international standards in the Hong Kong market later in 2022. Many businesses operating globally are already participating and applying the standards in the markets they operate, including Hong Kong. In 2018, TAG and the Brand Safety Institute sought to define what we mean by brand safety. And they did this by speaking to leading industry executives and concluding that brand safety should be defined as the controls that companies in the digital advertising supply chain employ to protect brands against negative impacts to the brand's consumer reputation associated with specific types of content, criminal activity, and/or related loss of return on investment. Therefore, it's not in the interests of a brand to do nothing. And this is further emphasised by research TAG conducted with the Brand Safety Institute in May 2021. More than 85% of UK consumers would reduce or stop purchasing products they buy regularly if they discovered an ad for that product had run next to COVID-19 conspiracy theories or information. And in addition, most consumers said they would curtail purchases from a favourite brand that advertised near hate speech, malware, illegal content, or terrorist recruiting materials. And this is backed up by a similar piece of research, again by TAG and the Brand Safety Institute, which found that consumers, this time in the US, expressed a nuanced appreciation of brand safety decisions faced by advertisers. The large majority of respondents also said it is important for advertisers to make sure their ads don't appear near dangerous, offensive, or inappropriate content. Well, TAG has a specific standard which aims to reduce the risk of ad misplacement of advertising of digital media in all times. And in doing so, it aims to uphold brand safety and the integrity of digital advertising itself. The standard promotes the flow of advertising budgets, to participants in digital advertising, upholding a cross-industry regulated framework for brand safety. It serves the entire supply chain, the entire digital advertising supply chain, by providing transparency, choice, and control for buyers, enabling them to purchase inventory with confidence and allowing them to avoid harmful content such as extremism, sexual content, violence, etc. And also a seller's framework that increases the value of their inventory. Over 120 companies are currently adhering to this brand safety standard that TAG has, with half of these applying it globally, including in the Hong Kong market. Well, until recently, TAG actually had a standalone standard for tackling ad-supported piracy. But from the 1st of July 2021, and this came into force on the 1st of January 2022, the anti-piracy requirements of this standard are now part of the broader TAG brand safety standard to tackle the risk of ad misplacement. And this provides companies with the methods and tools to minimize the risk of ads appearing on pirate sites, such as ensuring that ad trading agreements adhere to the brand's anti-piracy requirements. And TAG also has a pirate mobile app list, which enables companies to filter out ads on pirate sites in the mobile app environment, particularly when these apps have circumnavigated the controls of the major app stores. And to support the standard, TAG has deployed specific proactive campaigns in both the US and Europe to monitor the state of piracy in the respective ad markets and make brands and their agencies privately and confidentially aware of infringements. And in Europe, since February 2019, 84% of the brands or agencies that TAG has contacted have actually reduced their ad impressions on pirate sites. Well, TAG is not a technology organization. We work with companies to develop and implement best practices through industry standards, and we enable vendors to deploy their technical expertise to help companies meet these standards. That said, TAG's brand safety standard facilitates the use of tools such as inclusion or exclusion lists, for example, the pirate mobile app list I was talking about, and the use of content verification anti-piracy providers to meet the requirements. So in addition to TAG's anti-malware and anti-fraud standards, TAG's brand safety standard facilitates a basic level of brand safety for companies to comply with and enables brands and their agencies to build on this and to ensure the content is suitable for their advertising. And future versions of the standard are likely to include an explicit brand safety flaw or content taxonomy, such as avoiding sensitive topics like crime and harmful acts, hate speech, piracy, and terrorism. And there is a pointer to this direction of travel in the current standard. So, in conclusion, it's important that advertisers, agencies, and their ad partners back and implement these standards in the supply chain. And this is why TAG is partnering with IB Hong Kong. And we found that where these companies and where brands do back these standards and implement these standards, it leads to cleaner and safer ad environments and ad inventory. And it's important for companies to participate, as already 700 plus around the world do. So more information can be found on the TAG website, tagtoday.net, or via the IB's website. Thanks very much.
Hi, this is Chang, Business Director at DoubleVerify. I'm going to talk to you about the topic of brand safety and how it's evolved today to meet brand-specific demands and challenges. I'll also share an approach that advertisers are now including in their strategy as we transition into a cookieless world. The rapid increase in digital ad spend has made brand safety a priority. The concern is even greater at a time with unprecedented news cycles, with increases in the occurrences of hate speech, inflammatory politics, misinformation, and other potentially dangerous content appearing on websites. Brands must be assured that their media investments are safeguarded and that their advertisements are appearing on sites that support their brand values and are in the appropriate context. Brand safety are the controls that digital advertisers employ to protect a brand's ads from appearing alongside content that is generally inappropriate for any advertiser. And this includes topics such as pornography, terrorism, violence, and other potentially harmful content that most brands would look to avoid. Today's advertisers, however, are also looking for granular and nuanced controls that cater to the brand's message and risk factors. Brand suitability is the logical evolution of the traditional brand safety controls. Instead of relying on cookie-cutter approaches to avoid unsafe or inappropriate content, it encourages brands to establish a clear understanding of their core brand's values, including the topics or events that may or may not align with those values. Also, not every brand shares the identical values, even if they're from the same vertical, and there are various levels of tolerance when it comes to brand safety or suitability for each brand. For example, a finance brand will not adopt the same brand suitability approach to that of a children's brand. Having firm answers to these questions will enable advertisers to effectively work with verification providers to leverage the proper tools to avoid unsuitable content while still maintaining scale and campaign delivery. According to a DoubleVerify Harris poll research, 87% of consumers feel that brands bear responsibility for ensuring their ads run adjacent to content that is safe. And 65% of consumers would likely stop using the brand or the product if they view that the brand's digital ad is next to false or inflammatory content. Brand equity can have a direct impact on sales volume and a company's profitability because consumers gravitate towards products and services with great reputations. As the COVID situation in Hong Kong, as well as globally, remain volatile, it is important for brands to ensure that their ads do not show up on content that might be detrimental to brand reputation, while still supporting trusted news sites and content. So there are a few best practices that we recommend. First, understand and establish clear brand suitability guidelines. Second, always and constantly ask key questions such as, outside of the general inappropriate content, are there topics that our brand would want to avoid? For example, it might be sensitive for an alcohol brand to be running advertisements on content around pregnancy. Next, leverage and recognize the purpose of each brand suitability tool to refine your strategy. And you don't always have to avoid all news. Instead, work with trusted news sources containing content that aligns with the brand's values. And finally, work closely and communicate with verification providers that will support unique suitability preferences to ensure that you're well protected. As brands are preparing for the cookieless world, more and more are embracing contextual targeting, especially given its technological advancements over the years, such as semantic science and AI capabilities to elevate its efficacy and accuracy. A DoubleVerify SACIO study found that 69% of consumers would be more likely to look at an ad if it was relevant to the content they were reading. And 44% have tried a new brand due to seeing a relevant ad alongside a piece of content they were consuming. Contextual targeting is a privacy-safe solution that brands are using to reach relevant audiences, rather than annoying consumers with arbitrary messaging that may not apply to the content they're engaged with. Advertisers are also finding ways to drive performance by maximizing reach on content relevant to specific seasonal holidays or events, like the Lunar New Year Festival or Winter Olympics. There are resources available online for brands and advertisers who would like to learn more about brand safety. For example, the Brand Safety Institute publishes checklists, frameworks, and white papers to help you better understand and develop your brand safety plan. Associations like the Trustworthy Accountability Group, World Federation of Advertisers, also produce resources, research, and guides across a wide range of emerging marketing topics and challenges, including brand safety.
Hello, I'm Olivia from Meta. Brand safety is critical to keep a brand's reputation safe while they advertise online. Different advertisers may have different concerns and interpretation of what is safe for their brand, and the idea of it actually keeps changing over time. It's critical to understand what brand safety is for your brand and find out what solution is available in market to keep your brand safe. Disregarding this topic will keep your brand exposed. Brand safety at Meta is an important topic as we have over 3 billion monthly users. We are dealing with billions and pieces of original contents all over Facebook, Instagram, Audience Network, Messenger, and WhatsApp. There are many things that we do to keep advertisers' brand safe. And there are two distinct types of placement across Meta's family. The first type everyone is very familiar with, the ads, it's feed and stories, where they are independent of publisher content. Meta leverages our company's continuous brand safety effort to ensure a safe environment of feed and story, keeping harmful content and fighting misinformation off our platforms seriously and proactively. More than 100 billion messages are being sent on our services every day, and only a tiny fraction violates our policies. We've made advancements with AI, which has driven improvements across our content's action and proactive detection rate. We also partner with some experts and third-party fact-checkers, and we plan to undergo an independent third-party audit of our content moderation system. So besides feeds and story, the second type of placement is ads that appear within publisher content, such as in-stream video ads, instant articles, and also Audience Network, where Meta has a range of brand suitability tools that you can use to proactively choose what content you would like your brand to appear next to them, based on publisher contents and topics. These brand suitability tools allow advertisers to choose what contents and ad pairing they would like to avoid, including placement opt-outs, publisher allowed and block lists, inventory filter, and etc. You can leverage these tools to control the content pairing of your ads depending on your brands. Advertisers could also work with various Meta-verified third-party brand safety solution provider for a wider range of solutions available in the market. For brand safety information on Meta, you can find out more by checking our latest version of the Community Standards Enforcement Report online. This report provides qualitative and quantitative metrics on how we have enforced our policies, including the removal of hate speech content and updates on child safety measures and etc. Look up for brand suitability tools by Meta and understand the controls that you could leverage. I hope by now you understand more about how Meta is handling the issue of brand safety. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. My name is Chang. I'm a partner with Tiang Partners. I have been an intellectual property and data lawyer for a long time. Thank you again for having me today. The laws of various countries actually provide that brand owners have responsibility for safety. For example, Chinese law has such a provision. There was a car case in China where the accident caused serious injuries. The manufacturer of the car was sued, of course. The court also found that the brand owner located outside of China to be liable. I have worked on a lot of cases where counterfeiters, infringers, refill genuine used soft drink bottles that they pick up from garbage and other places. to sell as genuine soft drink. So brand owners need to consider what to do to stop something like that from happening. If someone gets sick from drinking the soft drink, the only evidence left may just be the genuine bottle. Well, there are important things companies must do. First thing is to carefully select a brand that is distinctive. A brand name that is not distinctive cannot be easily registered in your name, so that you cannot own it, you cannot register it, and all the money you spent on developing the brand may be wasted. Another important thing that companies must do is that they must do market research, trademark searches to clear a brand before using it. What you want to avoid is using a brand or adopting a brand that is similar to one that someone else is already using. In that case, then you cannot register it, you cannot own it. So again, you would waste all the money you spend on developing the brand. Very important thing to do is to register the brand as soon as possible. You have heard of companies, pirates, cyber squatters who register other people's marks, brands. I have worked on many such cases. Clients want to enter the Chinese market only to find out that their marks have been registered by pirates. There are professional pirates out there that do market research and register other companies' marks. Another important thing to do when you register your brand is to be thorough. You make sure that you cover all your goods, your future goods. Maybe defensive registration. You have heard of the G2000 case. G2000 registered their brand, early on, but someone else later on came along, registered 2000 as the brand, covering goods that G2000 did not register. And then 2000 turned around and sued G2000 and won. Another case you have heard of is the Schneider Electric case. Schneider Electric registered patents for their technology. Someone else later on came around, registered Schneider Electric's technology that Schneider Electric developed but did not register a patent to cover it. And the later person actually turned around to use this hijack patent to sue Schneider Electric, and Schneider Electric had to pay a hefty price. So it's very important to register and be thorough. Another important thing is that not everyone in China can understand English, so it's important to adopt a Chinese brand early on and register it. And another important thing to do is to make sure that companies enter into good contracts, valid and enforceable contract to protect their intellectual property, their brand. Another important thing to do is when companies find out that there are infringement of their brand, they need to take actions. They need to protect their rights. Infringers, counterfeiters know who is not enforcing. I worked on a case where we found out that the counterfeiter used to make fake bubble gums, and now the counterfeiter does not do that anymore. The counterfeiter actually opened up a school to teach others how to make counterfeit bubble gums. Among the things that the counterfeiter teaches, besides the raw materials, distribution channels, and all that, is actually the infringers' network. So infringers do know they have a network. They know who's enforcing and who's not. We mentioned earlier about a brand owner has responsibility for safety, and won't repeat here. We'll go directly to the issue of data privacy. In the past, we try to collect as much information as possible about our employees, about our customers. Data privacy law now, actually everywhere, require us not doing that anymore. We should only collect information if it's absolutely necessary. If we need data for profiling, for big data analytics, we can first anonymize the data. And also we should be transparent with employees and customers about what data we are collecting, why we're collecting, how we're using their data, how long we're keeping their data for, what rights they have, and how they can exercise their rights. You probably heard a lot about China's data security and personal information protection law, which just came into effect. The personal information protection law can apply to Hong Kong and other places outside of the mainland. For example, if you from Hong Kong collect personal information of Chinese individuals. Companies inside and outside of China have been rushing to comply. One reason is that the liability is hefty. The fine is 5% of the previous year's turnover, and most probably it is going to be global turnover like GDPR. The burden of proof is reversed. So companies must prove that they have done everything right, and the individual does not need to prove that the company has done anything wrong to win a lawsuit. Also, there are personal liabilities. Besides fines, the responsible person may be blacklisted from important positions for a certain number of years. Another reason why companies are rushing to comply with the new law is that basically the new law requires data localization, which a lot of companies find difficult to do. Draft regulations require that actually Chinese government approval is required if companies transfer more than 100,000 individuals' data outside of the mainland. Another reason why companies are rushing to comply is that basically the new law banned automated decision-making, and companies may not adopt preferential treatment, and individuals may ask companies to explain their logarithms and other reasons why they are using automated decision-making. Another reason why the companies are rushing to comply is that the new law requires sellers in commercial transactions to notify individuals if the seller is transferring their data. I'm working on a case right now where the buyer really wants the data from the seller, but because the buyer is in the retail industry, but the seller cannot notify the individuals because the data were collected from a long time ago. But the buyer does not want to take the data with the risk. So, all these requirements are putting a lot of burden on companies. However, companies can also see the new law as an opportunity to strengthen protection of their data, not just for legal compliance, but also to bolster protection to such important assets. Countries all over the world, probably with the exception of the US, are legislating more strict data privacy laws. I was speaking with KZ and Kenya about their data privacy law the other week. So we can also take the opportunity of the new Chinese law to install a strong system, because sooner or later we have to do it as more and more countries around the world demand the same strict standards. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Happy Chinese New Year! 恭喜發財! Bye bye!